All right. A very good morning to everyone. I hope you guys are doing amazing. I hope you guys had an amazing Monday, and I hope the markets did treat you right. And of course, you're definitely treating them right because it's about time that you start picking out something out of it to end the year. Once again, I would like to remind you guys that this risk disclaimer. This is not financial advice, so kindly do your due diligence before you take up any trading decisions. So, as usual, I'm going to give about a minute or two for the rest of our peers to join in, quite a handful of them, then we can get started. In the meantime, I'd like to remind you guys that if you do have a person that you know that's interested in starting their trading career, or they might be a beginner, or even they want to elevate their trading career and they are probably intermediates, they can sign up for our free classes, both online for the beginners and, of course, the physical classes for Tanzania and Uganda, and the links are all in description. And just in case you haven't yet taken advantage of the Karibu bonus, you can go ahead and take advantage of it while it still runs. And if you haven't created your FXPesa account, you can do that as well with the link in description. So as usual, we tend to start with our trade calendar to look at what is definitely going to be pushing volume or may push some bit of volatility in the markets. And as you might know, we do have the Fed rate decision coming out this week as well. So you want to keep all eyes on the news just to see what the markets are probably trying to price in regards to the rate cut as well. So when you look at today's news events, I'm going to just filter this to medium and high impact news events. On Forex Factory, let's toggle this off and have this off as well. Let's keep this too. All right, so coming in today, okay, we had Bank of Japan. That's a speech. Definitely, it's probably still ongoing. You can see the play icon is still actually toggled on. The ADP weekly employment change, tentative, hasn't been confirmed yet. But then we have the monetary policy report hearings for the pound. And then we shall have September data. Remember, this is September data, Jolts job openings, as well as Jolts job openings for definitely October. So September, then October. Jolts reports will both be coming out today as well, right? So for September, we have no forecasts. Meanwhile, for October, we do have a 7.14 million jobs, jobs advertised in the economy, right, for that period of time. So pretty much today, this is what you want to watch out for, the Jolts job openings. It will may be tricky basically because we have two of them coming out. But since we came out of the government shutdown, I don't really think it's advisable to want to rush into news because you know that you have a very big data gap. It's always easier to wait for the figures to catch up as well. Then, of course, tomorrow we shall have the most anticipated FOMC data reports coming in from that side. So on this side, in case you're looking for some pairs, that could be a hotspot leading towards the Jolts. Okay. We can just check out on this side on our equity market calendar. We shall definitely have a pair that may have like a signal, and let's see what pair would be most affected by that, right? It always tends to give you where the hotspot is as well. For those guys who may be curious on what you should be trading, you can always check this one out. So when you come to your calendar, we just move down a little bit. So I'm going to look for the Jolts on my calendar down here. This is low. Let me first toggle this to medium impact and high impact. See the whole filters. Okay, medium, high, apply. Okay, so let's look for the Jolts. DP. Okay, we have Jolts job openings. So when you come down here, because these are the pairs that you can look to trade within, all the way from USD JPY, Euro USD, Odd USD, GBP USD, USD CHF, USD CAD, silver, gold, USD Mexico, and it goes on and on. All the assets that will be affected by the Jolts are listed for you here. All those that have a setup, a possible setup that you can look out for, right? So you can see you have a sell limit setup on USD JPY that I think is not yet active. Still a pending order, so you can check it out as well. if you're going to want to engage within the Jolts shop openings and the New York session later in the day. All right, so this is basically it when it comes to Jolts. We have, I think, this will be the biggest hotspot to look out for USDJPY, and I think it also makes sense because basically today, as we speak right now, we have the Bank of Japan governor speaking as we speak right now, as we are going on within London Open. So yeah, that makes more sense to expect the volatility on both pairs, which means you can come up with a number of setups, a number of opportunities as well. In the meantime, I'd like to send a special shout out to Simon Gitonga for tuning in as usual. Big up to yourself, and yeah, let's keep pushing from that side. Moving on to the trend economics, we'll see if we have any news events that we want to look out for. Hello, Emmanuel. There seems to be a tension between Japan and China. Japan and China. Honestly, I don't really think I've yet caught a glimpse of that yet. But I'll do some research into and see if there is something that can be feasible in regards to the markets. Unfortunately, for retail traders, we don't really pay much attention to, how do I call it? The tension with China usually tends to become more feasible in regards to either gold, their moves to gold towards gold because they buy in large quantities, or when they are going into like tariff wars with a very major economy, but usually it has been the US. But I will look into that and see if I can pick up something or catch something that can probably be of effect to the markets in terms of the Chinese and Japanese relations. As of now, I'm not really much aware of any. So here you can see Chinese stocks sleep on measured policy reports. I don't know how many of you guys actually go ahead to trade Chinese stocks. I know it's very few people that trade things related to China. I know very few people trade things related to China, but let's see. Dollar steadies ahead of Fed meeting. The dollar index held around 99 on Tuesday, trading sideways so far this week as investors braced for the start of the results today. Okay, let's just have the full article. Then you can push on to that. Just a second. All right, so they're saying today policy meeting where it's widely expected to lower rates. Markets are currently pricing in about 87% chance of a 25 basis point cut on Wednesday, up from 67% a month ago. Still, the outlook for the 2026 remains uncertain, with analysts expecting a hawkish cut in which Chair Jerome Powell signals caution of further easing. Investors are also watching key US data this week, including a delayed October Jolts report due to today, along with our weekly jobless claims and trade figures later in the week. Attention is also on upcoming policy decisions from the central banks in Australia, Canada. So that's pretty much just a basic of it. So they're saying that the dollar has basically started holding a bit steady. So by default, we tend to expect that when rates are cut, that currency weakens, right? But usually we tend to see that weakness coming in before the rate cut happens. Just like last time, it's that when the rate cut happened, the dollar didn't really dip that much. Thereafter, that's an exact expectation. The market focused more on what the Fed had to say, right? More on what the Fed had to say after giving us his policy decision last time. So that's something you really want to know when it comes in terms of denoting down these macros, right? We have an article here on oil. Oil holds decline. So WTI crude oil futures traded below $59 per barrel on Tuesday after sliding 2% in the previous session as expectations of a supply glut outweighed geopolitical risks. Investors are now awaiting reports from IEA and OPEC Plus due later this week for updated supply and demand guidance. In mid-October, the IEA projected a sizable surplus for 2026, while OPEC Plus last month revised its Q3 outlook from a deficit to a surplus, right? From a deficit to surplus, further weighing in on prices. So all you want to be watching out for in regards to oil, all relating the macros with trading oil, is that when you have surplus oil being produced per day or more barrels being produced from either the IEA regions or the OPEC Plus regions, you expect the price of oil to actually reduce. So why it's very important to figure out what's coming out from these meetings is because we want to see, are they increasing the oil supply that's being given out on a daily? And of course, if they are doing that, then you expect the oil prices to actually be going lower. Then on the other hand, the other geopolitical tension we speak about that would affect oil prices would be the Russia-Ukraine war. As we all know, Russia is one of the world's biggest suppliers of oil and gas. But ever since the war started, there have been a sanctioning it in multiple countries in multiple ways. That has always led to a decline in oil supply, hence having high oil prices. So later this week, we are expecting a meetings from the IEA and OPEC Plus, sorry, to come in and give us a decision in regards to oil supply or what they have decided to do, either to increase or to hold or to even cut back some barrels of oil per day. And that's where we shall basically expect or decide from what we are going to be doing with oil, if you're going to go short or go long in regards to that. So basically, these are just some of the articles you probably that may cause a bit of tension within the markets. Besides that, I think we can then be able to move on to our charts and look at the technical overview and then see where the opportunities may most definitely lie, right? So for that, I'm going to start, I think, with USDJPY, basically because we do have a trade idea coming in from our signal center. As we saw earlier, there was a sell limit on USDJPY. So I'm going to start with that particularly, and then we shall advance as usual. And of course, once again, if you do have a pair in mind that you'd like us to look at, feel free to drop it in the comment section, and we can see how best to approach that precisely. So let me just share my MT5 screen in a bit. All right, I hope my screen is, I'm just sharing my screen in a bit, right? Okay, capturing different screens, let's continue. Okay, so these. All right, just a second, guys. I'm trying to have the screen shared. All right, so someone says BTC USD, JP USD, GJZR USD. All right, so I'm gonna just add them up to the watch list. As you put them there, then we can go through them. Okay. So let's see BTC USD, GBP USD, GBP JPY, and gold, right? So let's have them on our watch list. I'll get rid of this. I want to keep US oil there. I'll get rid of this. NZD, okay, keep this. Get rid of this. Get rid of this as well. What other pair was there? Okay. Let's have this off. Let's have this off too. So I'm also going to add USDJPY. All right, so let's see what we have on these pairs. I'm going to start with USDJPY. All right, so this is USDJPY. Let's start from my daily time frame. So you can see it has been coming into a correction move for quite a bit of time. We've had this USDJPY correction all the way into this zone. So you can see the last structural break that USDJPY had given us. And then our price came right into it and it's been starting to give us this bullish push to the upside. Right now, as you can see, price has just cleared out this current all the daily highs, so all daily highs or previous, not for the previous day, but they're all daily highs, right? Price has just cleared it out as well. And we are looking very, very bullish on this side. This shows dollar strength coming in. Remember from the article we read earlier on, we spoke about how the dollar started giving us a bit of recovery yesterday ahead of the FOMC. So hopefully the news, the events that come out today favor the dollar, then we can see this continuing to the upside. So now that these highs have already been usually they will be swept or closed above. What other highs do you think would be the target? Would be this. Remember, it's a daily time frame, so you can go down to the 4-hour time frame. Then we shall build up from the 4-hour time frame. So what can we see here? Clearly, we are seeing that there is this strong zone here, kind of like a resistance level. So it's going to be our anchor point going into USD JPY. So what I'm going to have it as a zone, and this will be my zone. This will be my zone, right? So this being a 4-hour time frame, there's a possibility of having some bit of bearish reactions when price gets into this area here, right? Into this area here. But based on the momentum, price can as well be able to violate the resistance, break above it. Then I can wait for a retest and probably a push above it. So when price is above this zone, I'll definitely be looking for highs. Remember, for price to be above the zone, I'll focus more on having candlestick closures. Then while price is inside the zone, when it's inside this zone here, I'm going to be watching the 30-minute and the 5-minute time frame. So in the 30-minute, the first thing I'll want to do is to refine on the left-hand side. Can I refine? How far can I refine? Can only refine as far as this level here, the long wick rejection. It's as far as I can be able to refine this. So that means when price gets into this zone here, I'll be watching out basically for my 5-minute time frame to give me a bearish shift. On the other hand, I can be looking for, if I'm going to watch the 30-minute alone, I'll wait for it to give me a bearish engulfing. Just that when I'm to use the candlestick confirmation or the bearish engulfing, I'll have to have a way bigger stop loss because it's have to be as big as the 30-minute candlestick. So this is what I'm going to be looking out for basically. Basically when it comes to this USDJPY, in this case scenario here. So that's the one I'm watching out for. So when you look at this clearly, we do have a bit of a trend line that was broken above. So as well, we can expect this resistance to give us some pushback down. In case that happens to be the case and happens to hold price, we do have this demand level here that could be the next buying point. So price can respect this resistance, come to this level here, then you can look for buying opportunities within that zone, or you can look for a breakout of this resistance. Upon a retest or a correction move, we can then now look for those buying opportunities going to the upside. So that's basically the outlook I would have on USDJPY. Someone did mention GPJPY, so I'll go to GPJPY next. So similarly to USDJPY, we are seeing a very strong bullish momentum on this side. when it comes to GPJPY. And of course, there's been an uptrend for quite some time. Didn't have a very big correction like USDJPY, but we did have this bearish correction here. Then price began pushing up aggressively. So we can come to a conclusion that we are bullish on GPJPY and USDJPY. They're all giving us bullish structures. So when you look at this pair still, the momentum is really, really so high. So there's nothing much you're going to have around here. We saw the last breakout level moving around this area. So when price happens to start pricing in a retracement, or when the market starts pricing in some bit of retracements, we shall expect price to retrace as low as that. For now, we are going to focus more on trying to look for opportunities that will be aligning with this push to the upside, basically because you don't want to fight the momentum. You never want to fight the momentum. And most importantly, you don't want to fight that trend. You don't do any of that too. Because, of course, either of them can land you into shambles or can land you into the pit. Yeah, that's how bad the market can be. So when I come to a 30-minute time frame, looking now at intraday opportunities, what's going to be my first buying ideology? Right now, I realize that I don't have a lot of left-hand price action. So I'm more of trading already into a free zone, right? So am I going to focus? So I'm going to focus on the most recent structures that the market happened to leave for me. When I look at the most recent one, this is the most recent structure the market happened to leave for me. So sometimes when I look at the market, I'm going to say like there is one and two structures, and then a sample will be worried. They are so worried that the question they're asking themselves is which one is the perfect zone? Which one is the zone I'm going to be sure that the market's going to turn in? No, the only thing that's going to make you sure if market's going to respect a zone will be a confirmation. Other than that, do not try to predict the market, right? You can't predict the market. So usually having zones like this, you can always mark them out both, or to keep a clean chart, you mark the first one, right? You mark the first one, then you're going to hold on for price to come back into this. Then you can either refine it or look for a confirmation. With refining, you're basically reducing how much you're going to lose in case you take a trade within that zone there and it doesn't happen to be fruitful. That's why you will do a refinement. If I was to refine this, I would refine to this formation there. We call it the week overlap. Then I will watch on the 5-minute time frames. I'll watch on this 5-minute time frame. So you can see my 5-minute. I can be able to identify a perfect type to demand level in here, which is right over here. So that will be the first area I want to watch out for. And when the market comes in, give me some buying opportunities. That will be the zone I'll focus on. Now, because you are trading into a free zone, I only want price to come back into this kind of zone for me to look for opportunities. I won't focus on a lot of what's happening up there, right? It will be the correction move. Then price definitely either respects my zone or doesn't give me a confirmation. Then I let that zone be. Very, very important. So I'll be looking at that area particularly, and I will not chase the market because the market will either do one thing, to either come back to this zone and respect or violate it, or it's going to create a new zone above there that can later use, right? Yesterday, I think I mentioned a bit of something like liquidity conveying. Price can form a zone down here, give us a breakout, right? But instead of coming back down here, it creates a new zone that it later uses to continue, or that it uses to have the continuation, right? That's called conveying liquidity. So at GPJPY, I'm bullish, just that I'll only wait for price to come as low as this blue box I've drawn in order for me to start factoring in a bit of bullish opportunities, or to look for those buy opportunities in regards to GBP, JPY. So that's a GPJPY. We have a bit of similarity between it and USDJPY, which I think is a good correlating coincidence and perfect advantage you can have in regards to our trading USDJPY and GPUSD. Right, so now from here, let's look at GPUSD. Did come up as well. So it's our analysis from yesterday morning. And we had spoken about our price probably coming to close below this and giving us a push to the downside. And it didn't quite get to this green line as anticipated, but it came back to this zone here, almost tapped by a people too, as you can see here, right? Before it began giving us this correction move to the upside. So we know you have been a correction move, and hopefully today during the Jolts is when you may tend to see a price giving us a definite direction. In the meantime, we can have this strong resistance level being drawn out. And what are you going to look for? If you get a break to the upside, we definitely know you're targeting the highs around here, But of course, if price breaks this kind of wedge pattern, then we shall look for those bearish opportunities, probably to sell into this imbalance that we are still looking to come and fill up since last week almost. We have been looking to trade into that area. They said that the market hasn't given us the best conditions yet, and you can say price action within this was really very, very messy. It was just, it's like a sideways consolidation, but trying to be bearish. I don't know if it makes sense. Kind of having a bearish consolidation, something of the sort, right? So you can see we have this pennant over here. So like to break above a retest, a push up, or a break below a retest, a push below to the downside. So let's GPUSD. I'm not going to do much analysis on it for yesterday's analysis. I'm going to just keep the same zone, same levels, and just focus on how price is reacting around them, right? Eventually, the market tends to give you an opportunity. One way or the other, definitely it tends to do that one way or the other. So you can now move on a bit from GPUSD. I think I did someone mention Euro USD. In the meantime, I was mentioning to guys, feel free, don't get keep trading from your friends. Don't get keep it from your peers. If you know a person or two, sometimes you may even be very lazy to teach them, and you're like, you know what, I can't teach you, but FXPesa has classes where you can start from, and you pick up slowly or gradually. Yeah, that's also great. It's good to have a community around you of like-minded people. Not only like-minded, but people are proactive, right? People are willing to do things, to make things happen, and don't feel bad for fending for them. Fend for them. I let them know about the classes, share the links with them, and then let them get started as well. And in case you're wondering where the links definitely are, it's definitely in the description and on the link in bios for all our social media platforms. So always do that. Build your own room. Build your own room around you, or build people around you that can always be able to help you as in regards to what trading can offer, right? So coming to your USD, uh, we did see a breakout coming out from this area here, and Euro USD is pretty much looks like it still wants to be in a correction move to the downside. We have seen the other day there, Friday, had a long move rejection to the downside. So did Monday yesterday. Had an indecisive candle. So usually here's my approach to indecision candles. These are zones that I'm not going to trade when it comes to indecisions, right? And indecision candles, because price really accumulating, right? It's hard to actually differentiate what direction price is entirely looking for. Though of course you can make an argument and say most of the times, if the trend is bullish and I get an indecision that is an indecision candle, I'll still look for bullish trades. That can work. Probably works a couple of times. But my personal way is this. I'll always mark out the high of that indecision candle, and then the low, right? It's a very simple methodology. I'll mark out the high and the low of the indecision candle, right? Remember, how do you identify the candles? You look at the body, it's smaller than both the upper and the longer wick. So it becomes basically indecision. They fail to find dominance, both buyers and sellers. So when I mark out the highs and lows of this indecision candle, I'll focus more on to which side do we break. I don't know if you get the idea. If this candlestick's forming today, news comes in and closes above this area here, that's when I'll look for buys on this pair here. If it comes and closes below this area here, that's when I'll look for selling opportunities in regards to Euro USD. So this is how I tend to like approaching anything to do with indecision candles. So usually there are very many always in the market, and you can see how the market reacts around many of them. Can I have an example? Their price closes below. We have a nice retester push to the downside. So usually with the indecision candles, it's where the market closes to. That's where it becomes a bit more dominant. And of course, depends on the time frame. You look at this down here. That was our indecision candle, as you can see. Then what happens? Price comes and closes to the upside. We have that retest. We have that continuous push to the upside. So basically, that's how I like approaching the idea of indecision candles. So similar to what we are seeing right now, it's the same way I will approach it. We have the indecision candle. We're going to have to wait for a candlestick that closes either up or down above or below the indecision candle. That's when I'll now start factoring in my possible trading opportunities. It's just a second. It's very, very hot in here. Let me turn on AC. Sorry about the days. I was starting to sweat a little bit. All right, so as I was saying, this is how I tend to approach the idea of indecision candles, right? The idea of the indecision. So usually I don't fancy trading before I have that in play. So near USD, I'll pretty much want to stay out, but I can just have something around here that you can build up on, right? Something we can build up on. When you look at this, we had an impulsive push to the downside, and so far market has failed to respect the supply level. We saw it push down. Then we are seeing this rejection week. Price failed to close below this area here. So the areas of interest we can build up on the lower time frames. Because right now we want price to either take out the high or take out the low. One of the two, right? Then we have a dominant side in play. So the supply level we had. But for the supply level now to be more valid, because we have seen a rejection around here, we are going to need price to come and close below this low here. So when price closes below this low, I'll be looking for selling opportunities to come and close or to engulf this indecision candle to the downside. And then if price breaks above this, I'll definitely be waiting for price to come and close to the upside. So these are conditions that I can always use on the lower time frame to try and trade that level, that indecision area there, right? But as I said earlier on, the best possible trade you're going to take in regards to when you see an indecision candle is the one after that daily candle closes either above or below that indecision candle in particular. So that's something you need to keep in mind and definitely watch out for when trading these kinds of pairs. Happens a lot on mid-volatile pairs and volatile pairs. We saw this on gold about last week, but one did the same thing after 4 days of indecision, closed above and just shot up like 700 pips, I think, in a single day before it eventually started retracing the move that he had made that time there. So this Euro USD, there was GBP USD, then Bitcoin. So this is I think we had spoken about GBP USD already. Yeah, we have spoken about this, and we're looking at the break of this area, probably gonna push to the upside or a break below, push lower. We have seen the break to the upside in a 30-minute candle. Let's see if it closes above, gives us a retest, and we get a push to the upside. So let's go to Bitcoin, BTC, USD. All right, so this is Bitcoin, and it has really been having a bad run for quite a number of months, probably like I think 2 months, 2 to 3 months. It has been having that bearish liquidation really coming in aggressively. So let's look at what we have. This on a daily time frame for Bitcoin, then this on the weekly. On the weekly, realize that BTC is still respecting this zone here. Remember, I said these are bullish zones, so you can see this zone over here. Price is still respecting that zone. So the idea that if price respect this zone, maybe price can push all the way to this area up here. But this is a weekly time frame, so that will take quite a while, probably until next year. That possibility is very, very there. When it comes to lower time frames, what can we expect? We are seeing prices currently being held under by a strong resistance level that you can mark out right from this. So that's the level that's basically holding Bitcoin to the downside for now, based on our daily time frame analysis. And as you can see, the daily candle that's being formed today is basically almost flipping bearish. So today's candle is trying to flip bearish. So even if it feels even if it closes bullish, as long as it's below this resistance, don't look for any kind of like as long as it's below this resistance and goes bullish, don't look for any kind of buying opportunities until it has fully mitigated this zone. It's when you want to start pricing in buys. And to be bearish, we're going to look at the most recent lows that price has formed, which are those lows right over there. So this is the low that price has currently formed. So we're going to be looking for bears right below that low. Ooh. Trying to get rid of this line, but it's being stubborn. Okay, anyway. So like to see probably today's candle closes bearish, then we keep pushing and close below this area, go lower, or we break above to the upside, and then look for those buying opportunities to continue pushing us up on a Bitcoin recovery, probably until the weekly zone we had seen, or the weekly supply zone. Going into low time frames on that was a daily time frame. All right, so when you come to refine, you're going to realize it's actually a demand level right here, right? So this a demand level is a good bullish move area where you can look for buying opportunities. And of course, if price closes below it, we look for sell opportunities. Then we have this resistance still intact. When price breaks above it, you look for the buying opportunities. If price fails to actually break above that zone, then you start seeing how best you can factor in some shorts in regards to Bitcoin. So it's basically the outlook you'd have on BTC USD in regards to that. But of course, right now, what I'll focus on is looking for a bit of shorts until I've confirmed that we're actually going into a correction move. So until we close above this area, I'm not looking for any shorts on BTC. I'll focus more on, I'm not looking for any longs on BTC, sorry. I'm not looking for any longs on BTC as long as we are below that area. Then above that area, you look for longs. Below that area, you can look for some shorts, but the best shorts would come below which zone. Okay, this zone is so big, right? So I don't think much about shorting Bitcoin. We shall focus more on looking for buys above this. Or looking for buys when price comes back deep inside this. Deep inside this. This zone. It's a weekly zone. It's a weekly zone. So we want to watch out for this. Can we refine this zone? Let's look at this. Can refine it a bit to this because we had mitigated a bit of it. So sometimes price comes to the refined zones to try and fully mitigate an area. Sometimes price comes into these zones to fully mitigate a zone. So a demand level or a demand zone, the best ways of refining it is going to lower time frames, and probably can see if you can get some buys when price gets to that on lower time frames. So it's basically my outlook on Bitcoin or BTC USD. So on our time frame, so you saw a consolidation around this, price pushes below, didn't quite get to the demand levels, pushed back up to the supply that was fresh and trying to push to the downside, still being indecisive. So you want to look for sells probably in this zone, look for buys in this zone, more buys above this area, then some buys in this zone upon confirmation. This is our 1 hour time frame. So you'd want to look at that in regards to confirmations coming in from the 15 and I think that 3 minute time frame would be the best confirmation time frames that you'd want to look out for. and we can be able to refine this area to just fit the most recent price action as well. We just make this a bit smaller, come over here and look for the fresh supply zones available, or the area that's unmitigated. Within this, we are seeing it was the other one we had. Price successfully consumed it, but then we have this one zone up here. That one zone is the zone we can be able to pay more attention to, or to look out for price to get to it. Then we have now this. Should I just keep this the way it is? Then we can now focus on looking for buys when price gets to this. This can offer us some selling opportunities. Then, of course, eventually some more buys in case price fails to respect that resistance. So that's as regards to BTC USD. I think those are the pairs that had been given to check out. One thing I'm going to look out for now again is going to be a bit of US oil and probably NAS 100. So it's US oil or West Texas Industries, WTI, as may probably see it on out of the macros. So we're seeing it at 58.64. The lowest has been in quite a while was in October this year, and we saw it coming as low as around 55, right? So target to have it go lower than that. But right now what we can see is a bit of a correction move. So price came and tried to mitigate this demand level initially, and we got some buys coming in from that. Price came and tried to mitigate this, as you can see. We got some buys back into that. There was a break around this area. Then when price comes back into this zone, we see this impulsive push to the downside. So remember we said the best thing to do is to wait and see if the OPEC and then the IEA regions are actually going to be able to offer us some bit of more surplus or more supply in regards to having more oil being supplied to dictate lower prices. When you look at this, there's been a kind of like a push down below this trend line, which all may signal that, you know what, sellers are coming deep into this. But I'm not really going to focus much on the trend line. I'm going to look more at this impulsive move. Remember, with that impulsive move, there is some kind of inefficiency or imbalance that the market happened to leave for us right before that break. So you can see this area here. It's actually an inefficiency that actually was created to break structure here. So the idea is that US oil can push back into somewhere around this zone, probably a supply level here, probably this supply level. So I'll tend to mark it out like this, probably push as high as that. Then we can eventually see the price push to the downside. That's something probably can tend to look out for in regards to US oil as well. So it's something I'll be looking out for in regards to US oil. I expect this push back up, probably to fill up this imbalance to the impulsive push to the downside. Then you can go and push lower. So of course, above this, I'll be focusing more on buying opportunities, and I'll be looking to target probably price taking out all the buy side, all the trend line liquidity that was created during this correction move. And then you realize that right above all this kind of liquidity, as I would want to call it, above all of it all, we have another inefficiency here, right? And this on a daily time frame. This can take quite a while to pan out or to play out as well. So you have to be very careful when you're watching that. But this is my anticipation as far as this US oil is concerned. Of course, I'll be watching carefully to see what comes out of the OPEC meetings by the end of the week. So, gold. We didn't look at gold. Yeah, that's right. So let's come into gold. So this is a bit of analysis from the other day, from yesterday, actually yesterday morning. We're able to see, let's just get into here. So as our pennant pattern. Then we had, of course, this support level and the resistance above here. Then there's this inner resistance level that price had respected, pushed lower, then came and gave us this kind of breakout, but has been consolidating around this area for quite some time. So I'm going to build this back up again from the daily time frame as far as gold is concerned. Then we can see what's going on with gold. So as you can see once again, I think we saw something like this during the NFP week. Remember, I spoke about the 4 days of indecision that the market had given us. Those were the 4 days before the NFP resumed, about 2 weeks ago, right? And we saw exactly similar kind of price action until the news was actually released. So I would comfortably tell you that this price action is going to be like this today and tomorrow until we get the final. But tomorrow in the new auction to loosen up until we get the final rate decision. That's when this market will stabilize. But currently, what you can see is that price is being held by this demand level over here. It's the one holding price. Then, of course, there's a supply level. When you look at this daily here higher, we have this supply level. Those are the two zones holding price. We have that demand. So we have this supply level and then this demand over here. There are the two areas holding price. Of course, coming in from the higher time frames. I want to refine this. And then we can now go into the 4-hour and see if there are any structures we can be able to use to maneuver. Let's just see this. Okay. So this is a 4-hour time frame. And you can see a bit of consolidation, up and down movement. But currently, we can see we had a push to the downside. Price didn't quite get to this zone. Then it's giving us this retracement to the upside. So when you look on the left-hand side here, there's not really any clear zone that you can be able to actually want to take buys from, or in kind of clean demand level that we have down over here, because many of them have actually been already utilized. So we're going to focus more on treating this like a support and resistance ideology, right? So when you look at this on the far left, price comes in, rejects, gets rejected, tries to go in, comes back down, before it eventually breaks out, retests, right? First retest, second retest. This would have arguably been the third retest as well. So what I'm going to look for is price is pushing a bit up. We're going to have scenarios or zones you can look out for to see that if price breaks above this zone, I'm going to be bullish. And if price enters this zone, I'll look more for bearish opportunities. So that you have a bit of double-mindedness when you're looking at or approaching every single chart. So when I look at the structure being formed, this high is over here, price comes lower. So I'm going to have this high marked out like this. So we have that high marked out. So that means you're going to focus more on looking for buying opportunities above that area there and looking for selling opportunities below that resistance zone. That's something we're going to just look out for and see how it goes as well. So the idea would be for price to come, almost fully mitigate this area, but there's not really anything around here. So that will be a bit tricky. Price will tend to violate this area if there are no fresh zones, and we'll go to the next possible fresh zone, which is all the way down here. But because it's too far, we're going to deal with one thing at a time, and that's going to be dealing with the current price action here, right? The current price action right where we are. So we're going to we have a supply level right here. This is a 4-hour time frame. Being a 4-hour time frame, of course, you can even have a 5-minute structure confirmation within this area here. But remember, this zone up in here is also a bearish zone, so you can just go and see if we have anything inside that area in the lower time frames. So when I come inside these time frames, I basically just have this area here. These are like quick overlaps right over there. So when price gets into those, I can easily watch a 5-minute time frame to come up with a bit of confirmations before I actually look for those shorts on gold. Then of course I break above this upper resistance, the one above. You can even see its imbalance over here. It has a very large imbalance that you'd expect price would fancy feeling, right? Or the market would like rebalancing easily. So that's basically gold. Okay, we shall end with NZD/USD from Maureen. So just like most of the dollar pairs, in the past few couple of days, NZUSD has been very, very bullish. You can see momentum here, offering almost no retracements and making it very, very hard to break down. So what you can see right now is the structure attempting to now flip to the bullish side. And currently, where the market is, we are inside the supply zone, right? We are inside the supply zone. So what I'm going to be looking for within supply zone, I'm going to be watching my 1 hour time frame because it's what I correlate directly with a daily time frame. So when I come to my 1 hour time frame, when I come to my 1 hour time frame, I'm basically seeing a bit of a consolidation while prices in it, but realize that oftentimes after the small correction moves, some strong impulsive moves tend to come into the market. So basically, I'll much the forward when this to have a much clean structure. So basically, when I have such kind of price action, I go to the next higher time frame, right? Remember that next higher time frame. It was the 1 hour, now I'm going to the 4 hour time frame. I'm going to identify the lowest point it has, right around that, and then identify the highest point the market has in that area as well. So this will be what I'm watching out for NZUSD. Either price breaks above the area I look for longs, or price breaks below this zone, and I can look in for a bit of shorts. Why I wouldn't go very hard on shorts is because you realize the next zones are near them. The next zones are just next to the breakout area. That's why we want to really fancy match on that. So I'll be focusing more on the breaks above because I have more of a nicer range to the upside than to the downside, right? So I'll focus more on that kind of price action playing out in regards to NZD, USD. So with all that said and done, I would like to wish you guys an amazing day, a peaceful day, and all the best in the market as you engage or look for some trading opportunities. One thing again, do not forget to sign up for the FXPesa account today, and then you can be able to take advantage of the Karibu bonus. Don't forget to sign up for the free classes, both online and physical, for Uganda and Tanzania. And if you know a bunch of people out there who are interested in learning, don't get keep. Form a peer community and trade together with them as well. If you're just scared of helping each other, you can send them to our classes, which shall help them on your behalf. That's also accepted. Other than that, I wish you guys an amazing day and cheers.